Click the links to join the channel here on YouTube, over at Subscribestar, now over at Odyssey. Thanks to the 15 new members over there. So George Martin blames Toxicity and Fandom and Trump supporters for his inability to sit down at a computer and write a story, the Games of Thrones. So, the short version of this, most people could look at this and go, oh, what you need to do is sit down for a year, obviously write the story. That means you turn off just unplug your internet, put your phone in the other room, or put any internet access in the other room, sit in one room with the computer that is just the hard drive, and just sit down for a year and write this. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly do that. I need to be on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and tell people how I feel about writing. But, if you're a writer, you should actually just be writing the book. Like, people aren't so concerned about your blog. They want you to finish the Game of Thrones series, which I don't know how long he's been writing this thing. So this is a glimpse into a nut job who's in a echo chamber, unable to finish his Game of Thrones novel, waiting for years, and a lot of hype built up over this. So instead of writing the fantasy, he put out a blog blaming the political climate, right-wing Americans, for his inability to just sit down at the old typewriter and put those pages out there. So he opened by saying, ominous opening that speaks nothing of the work he should be doing. 2023 was a nightmare of a year for the world and the nation, and for me and mine, both professionally. This is a guy who just he loves putting I guess dorks in BLT themes in his writing. I'm very glad the year is over. Unfortunately, 2024 looks to be even worse. Put on those soy-colored glasses. So SJW blaming everyone but himself for the case of these. A lot of these people are terminally online. And the thing is, like, everyone knows, if you really have to do something, you put your cell phone, you either turn it off so there's a startup sequence, or you physically put it in the other room to go, okay, I'm going to sit down for an hour and work on this thing, and everything else is turned off. And guess what? You do it. You just can't have a cell phone in front, or a tablet in front of you that's connected to the internet, because every little ping of Twitter, you're gonna be like a slave to the device. So what he says is, the theory is he's scared of the hype built up over Game of Thrones. I totally understand that, but he says he says hate is rising, democracy is under threat. Millions of Americans have swallowed the lie that the 2020 election was stolen. Okay, now with this on Google Tube, at one time they were punishing people who were saying that that is what happened, even though there's mountains of evidence to support that. So I guess I can't comment on that. I mean, no, it definitely was. So Newspeak has taken over political discourse. So okay, this is the other thing. He's a far left wing nut job, I'm assuming. But he's right. He says some things here on his blog, referencing 1984 and Weimar. It's kind of weird. You'll hear it. He says Newspeak has taken over political discourse. Cancel culture is destroying lives and careers. That's kind of a right-wing talking point. It's weird. They go, it's accountability culture, bigot. And the other thing I want to say is, you have such a schism between the left and the right now that there's no possible way of meeting in the middle. There's too many well-funded billionaires who are adding oxygen into the engine of this schism. There's no way to meet in the middle when you have billions of dollars who are just have their foot on the accelerator to a red line. So it's better that people literally peacefully have separate states for separate areas. They don't have to be continuous states, but just start the peaceful process of distanceless establishmentarianism. So he says, we have a disgraced, indicted, venomous ex-president winning primaries despite, because the guy who's in office now has dementia and walks around. I mean, it's embarrassing to have somebody walk around that doesn't know where, either one of them. How about an upper limit on, it's the 35 lower limit in the Constitution, maybe an amendment that, I don't know, 70 is an upper limit, 68 or something. despite openly declaring that he'll be a dictator on day one, well, based if true, and sincerely doubt it though, and will govern on a platform of retribution when he's not busy grabbing women by the kitty cat. His, again, based. His last attempt to overthrow the government failed. That's just insane. So 1,000 unarmed people showed up to peacefully protest. How are 1,000 unarmed people gonna take over the government? Oh, they weren't. That's nonsense. I mean, people show up at state and federal buildings all the time. For some reason, only that one was an issue for these people. Like I say, I don't think there's going to be a conventional political solution to this, unfortunately. But some of his more ardent supporters are now saying that next time they'll bring more liberty devices. They didn't bring any. So that's insane. There are actually folks out there wanting civil war. A peaceful dissolution would be better than the direction we're going in now for both sides. You could live, if you want to live in, I don't know, we don't need any police. It's like, okay, well, I mean, most of us want at least, you don't need police. Hey, we don't need police either. Let's go to a sheriff model. We have an elected sheriff. But a peaceful separation would be best. And I know how that sounds, but it's better than the direction we're going in with the discord we've had. No one attempted to overthrow the government. Yeah, that's unarmed people don't overthrow a government. That's just stupid. Though there is strong evidence the Democrats, well, there is evidence for that, but I guess I can't talk about it. So the hatred we've seen from people like Martin, what have you seen? Go back to Obama. Was Obama, Trump, it was 8 years, and then, 12 years, and then 4 years of Biden. So 16 years. Over the past 16 years, the violence and the rioting and looting has been entirely left-wing. So the left-wing calls everything. I did a video on Subscribe on Odyssey about this. There's these well-funded globalist groups that they pay people money just to write these articles against the right, where they mention every marginalized and oppressed group except for Christians and except for people of European descent. The goal is to shape the narrative to focus hatred on those groups. And the thing is, the United Nations themselves said Christians are the most oppressed group on earth. But these well-funded other groups, these websites that are paying writers and researchers to write these articles, they're just designed to shift the narrative to get people to focus on all these marginalized and oppressed and disenfranchised and other groups. Oh, you mean like Christians? And you see the look on their face, and it's just one of horror because they hate Christians and they hate European people. Anyway, attack political opponents. Well, welcome to politics. He mentions, okay, see, that's the weird thing. He mentions cancel culture. So I don't, that's odd, because it's like, that's his group who's doing it. So it feels like either he's wealthy enough to be a little bit of an independent thinker, like J.K. Rowling with the trans debate, or he's not, doesn't have his, I don't know how old he is, he doesn't have his finger on the pulse where he might be closer to a true liberal who believes in free speech and not a fan of cancel culture and knows what a woman is. And then he sees something even weirder that caught my attention. He goes, it's hard to escape the feeling that we're living in the Weimar Republic. That's really weird for a left-winger. Just, what are you wearing? I'm wearing a vest too, but I'm not wearing that kind of vest. I'm wearing the Costco puffy special. I love vests. I would wear a vest on top of a vest if I could. That's really weird for him to mention. So yeah, left wing controls the media, the government, the schools, entire entertainment industry, and almost all of the mainstream social media. It got so bad that, I mean, it's kind of, the Comicsgate is a great example, is when things get so bad, alternatives spring up. That's how Gab and BitChute and Odyssey and Telegram and World Truth Video and all these other platforms spring up, because the censorship gets so egregious that it's just, a platform like YouTube, it's, oh, hey, look, a pretty girl is putting on makeup, or somebody's talking about, I don't know, some stupid movie, and that's the other thing I was thinking about with the YouTube channels and the movies and stuff, is what do you do when everything that comes out of Hollywood is crap? Like, there's not going to be well, maybe out of Japan, but that's not Hollywood. Maybe something will come out of Japan, foreign movies. But when everything comes out of, Hollywood, American Hollywood, it's all garbage, and there's no exception to it. I kind of wonder if those YouTube channels are going to run out of steam. Anyway, so yeah, the left wing controls everything in the mainstream. And they control the financial and the payment processors that are tied in. And people on Twitter go, oh, just yikes, my guy, just go start your own thing. And go, but you'd have these wealthy, powerful, billionaire-funded groups who would pressure advertisers to stop supporting you and not advertise on your platform, and it would be effective. So we can't just go start our own thing because the left wing will shut it down. Oh, we'll start our own platform like Gab. Oh, yeah, we're not going to put it in the App Store. Oh, why? Because you don't have political commissars on there censoring speech. Oh, so we can't start our own thing. The left wing has to have absolute total control of the narrative. That's the only way left wing ideas can survive. I always say if the right wing has free speech, the right wing wins, which is why they censor and deplatform. So Game of Thrones, even, I read that. I'm not into fantasy. I'm not into that kind of fantasy. Fantasy is way overwritten. You pick up a fantasy book and it's like 600 pages, and you go through it and realize, you could edit out half of this and take this to a tight 300 pages. So it even pushed BLT agendas on TV under the guise of fantasy. And wasn't there a lot of penis in that? Which is, I don't think most people are on board seeing that. And yet, Martin will never admit that the policies he advocates for are the ones that fail. Instead, he whines that his platform isn't going to change people's minds in the voting process. If only Americans would listen to more, idiots in an echo chamber like Martin. I'm famous, I'm wealthy, and supposedly I have a big platform. Whatever that is. But I've grown more. Yeah, you've grown, all right. It's cynical about this supposed power that people keep telling me I have. Well, you write fantasy books that are made into movies, so I'm not quite sure where you're going with that. And so what's the new Game of Thrones called? I forgot what it's called. Anyway, so yeah, if you don't agree with them, it's called hate. And I look at them, I go, so is there any hate on the left wing? Where's the left wing hate? Where's the left wing intolerance? Is there an example of marginalization and oppression on the right wing? And they look at you and it's like, in their minds, there is no two sides to the story. Anyway, so he's blaming Trump. He's blaming toxic fans. Boohoo ninja, turn off the computer and just sit down and write your stuff. Instead of controlling the platform and censoring and deplatforming people, you're on social media. I don't know what platform you use, probably Facebook. It's the boomer tech. You can just mute or block people. Toxicity is growing. By that he means only right-wing opinions can be labeled toxic. It used to be fun to have spirited debates, but yeah, now you get canceled if you say something. That's the power of anonymity on social media. People would rather talk about the stuff they hate than the stuff they love, and delight in dancing on the graves of anyone whose film has flopped. Well, all right, fair enough. The thing with the movies flopping is it's all left-wing propaganda now. It's to the extent where the left wing does not support the Marvels. 3 chicks, diverse chicks of color, vaginas of color, are leading this movie, and it's all girl power and whatnot. And in fact, there's even a girl antagonist, which is kind of interesting. That's a little bit outside the narrative, so they're branching out a bit. And I expected them to make them a blonde-haired, blue-eyed bad guy, is what I'm trying to say. But the left wing didn't support that movie. The women didn't go see a woman action adventure because women don't give a darn about that. Women want to see mostly romance, family relationships, friend relationships, tribal relationships are the core of most women's stories. If you can go read like a dozen women's like Harlequin romance novels to get kind of a template idea of what women are into. They're in, and to be fair, men are into similar formulaic stuff. I mean, you can go watch Predator or Commando or something like that, and it's like what's going to click with men and what's going to click with women. And this is a sticking point for the left because like they believe, boys can be girls and it's like, no, they can't. They're different. We have such different value systems. That's why I say there's no meeting in the middle on that. And there's a deeper argument to that. That's not really for YouTube, but it's a peaceful dissolution would be better than to have this constant bickering over just this. Oh, we're going to cancel you. Well, what if you created states that were like right wing zones, areas, and left wing areas, and the left wing the left wing would be a nightmare, in a month. It would be, so how well did the Chavs work out for you guys? Oh, there's like 6 people shot. Oh, Okay, we should expand that to the whole city and defund the police. Like, oh, what happens? What happens when you don't have a police force? What happens? What happens then? Oh, we'll just like police ourselves. Like, yikes, my guy, don't be a bad person. I would love to see that. We're gonna fly drones over your future Liberia and see how well that works out for you people. The George Martin would be living in a gated community with 50 caliber motion sensor guided Liberty. These are peaceful devices, keeping those right wing. But you live in the left wing zone. There's no right wing oppressors out there. Well, just anything that moves, we're gonna blast the hole through. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks to everyone over at Subscribestar and Odyssey, where you have freer speech. Not free speech. There's no such platform as free speech. Not if you don't want the FBI to carpet bomb your neighborhood, but freer speech on the Odyssey and Subscribestar. And I'll see you guys all next episode.